first thing on my list of gift ideas for photographers and videographers is the Peak Design strap or capture clip. These two things are absolutely game changing. Starting with the capture clip, this thing you slap on your backpack or on your belt, and this thing will literally just hold your camera for you. Can't tell you how many times this has saved my life where I need to just put my camera down quickly and work on something with my hands. It just stays on you. You don't have to worry about someone snatching it while you looked away. You put it onto your shoulder and you can even lock it and you're good to go. You don't have to worry about it falling off. I believe this thing is rated to hold up to 200 pounds. So like when people ask me like, do I trust the camera on my shoulder? I'm like, listen, if I were to fall off a cliff and this were to get caught on a branch, I would trust the clip holding the camera more than I would trust my bag strap holding on for long enough. These things are ridiculously strong. Now for the Peak Design strap, you've probably seen these little red things hanging off of everyone's cameras or a lot of people's cameras. And basically what it is those are the quick release and quick attach pieces. So you can just slap on the strap and take them off whenever you need to. So you don't have to fiddle with the little tabs there where you need to route the little thread through and then make sure it's nice and tight, make sure it's locked in. You just do it once and you forget about it and then you just reattach whenever you need to. Now this comes in 3 different options: the slide Lite, and there is also the slide leash, or just called Leash. I forget what it is, but they're all good options. Obviously, it depends on what camera you're using. So if you know they use a big camera, go for the slide. If they use a smaller mirrorless camera, go for the slide Lite. And if you know they like a really minimal setup, go for the leash. Me personally, I have the slide Lite. I like it, but I find it does get in the way of my screen sometimes when I'm maneuvering the camera. So I might swap it out for a leash eventually. Moving on, we have these little SSDs from SanDisk. So one thing right away I just want to let everyone know is you really need to watch out for which version you're buying because they all look the same. There's a couple of differences between each one, which is the read-write speed. So for the very first iteration of this, I believe it was about 500 megabytes or megabits per second. Then they moved up to 1,000. Then they moved up to 2,000. So obviously the price gets higher as you go through it. If you see a 2 terabyte model that is cheaper than a 1 terabyte model, the 2 terabyte model is actually a slower read-write speed than the 1 terabyte model. So if you're using this for video editing and photo editing, I highly recommend you get the fastest one you can, just because you want to make sure you get nice good speeds, because this is a working drive and not a storage drive. Now moving on to why these are so good, it's because they're so small, they're so portable, and they just work. Look at how small this thing is. Palm of my hand, boom. These things are absolutely game changing. I love them. They're USB-C. They literally slide into anywhere you want in your bag. So this is a great gift for your photographer, videographer friends, or even if you have a friend that likes to edit photo and video. Real quick, before moving on to the next product, I just wanted to remind you guys that these videos aren't sponsored by anyone, and liking and subscribing means a lot to me, and apparently it really helps with the algorithm. Another good thing is a mini tripod of some sort. So there's 3 options that I have with me. I have this Manfrotto one that I don't use that often anymore, but it's still great to use. Just slap on a quick release plate on it and you're good to go. Other 2 options, obviously everyone knows this. This is the Joby Gorilla Pod, the famous little balls that you can wiggle around and attach to whatever you need to. This thing is pretty good when it's brand new, but over time these tend to deteriorate. But it's really interesting what angles you can get with this thing when you need to just fix it somewhere and you're good to go. And the last one is probably my favorite, and this is the SwitchPod. Now this thing is really cool because when you want to open it, you just snap it open and you're good to go. When you want to close it, you literally just snap it closed and you move on with your day. And then you have a nice little consolidated compact tripod, which has a really thin footprint. It is a little bit long, it doesn't fold down or anything, but it looks really nice and it feels really nice and it's really sturdy. One thing is when I bought this, I ended up buying the ball head attachment that came with it, and I realized that I needed a quick release. You really want to go for a ball head attachment, buy it separately that comes with the quick release built in. So for me, what I usually do is I just use the ball head from the Gorilla Pod and I just slap it onto this, and then boom, problem solved. Next up on my list, really simple, SD cards. You can never go wrong with them. Depending on the camera that they use, you might have different requirements, but for the most part, a standard SD card will be good. V60 will work on any camera. If they're using higher end cameras, they might need to use something like a V90 card. So for example, A7S III, if you really want to shoot in the highest bitrate, a V90 card is what you need, and they're a bit pricier, but they work great. Me personally, I have a ton of V60 cards from Lexar. I use these as backups, and SD cards for photo. They're all good, they work really well. They are slow on the write speed now that I've been spoiled with the Sony CF Express card, which is extremely expensive, and as well as when I'm using the V90 cards from ProGrade. Feels like night and day when I switch between them. Now another thing that's extremely useful, and I have literally I think I have like 6 of them lying around in different places in my house, in my bags, just everywhere. these little multi-tools. These ones here I have by Small Rig. Pretty good, very useful. I do wish there was a way to customize what bits were on it, because sometimes I find myself needing a bit that's not on here. So Small Rig, if you can add some kind of custom bit that you can just slap in there, thank you very much. Otherwise, it works great. I have a ton of them. One issue though is over time, the bits tend to loosen and just kind of slide out. And it's kind of hard to screw things in when it's sliding all over the place. Moving on, the final thing on the list is a lens blower of some sort. So whether it's a rocket blower, I think it's called a rocket blower, or a lens baby blower, those are both really good if you want the manual ones. I tend to find these can really push out a lot when you really squeeze it. I don't have mine on me, so I can't show you. But what I do have on me is a blower baby. This thing is really cool. It's motorized. I think they released a new version since the one I bought. So I think now it comes in a kit together where you have all the attachments built in. You have two different sets of brushes. One is a harder brush to clean things like your camera body, and one is a softer brush that you use on your lenses after you blow air through the spout and get little dust and debris out, so you can start using a microfiber cloth to clean your lens. The kit that I bought also had a carbon tipped lens pen that I can use to remove smudges and stuff, and I found it extremely useful. But I do think that now with the new form factor is that you can actually have all of it in one instead of having two separate pieces. That's all for this photographer and videographer gift guide. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. And I have 2 other gift guides if you haven't already seen them: gamers and home living. Anyways, that is all. Later.